Hi, it's Lyle from Made by Marley. Welcome back to our channel. Do you ever come across those 80s hi-fi cabinets with the glass in them for next to no money? Well, I did. And this is what I did with it. If you're interested in trialing a new thing that I'm trying, fabric appliques onto furniture. I'm going to show you how I did this, how I put the molds onto the glass, painted the glass, did the blend. Stay tuned to watch this, but also at the end of our video, there is another little video.
It's a surprise.
It's a surprise. I want you to stay to the very end to watch that video because we are announcing something really special. So this is the piece. Before I start, obviously you can see I'm in brand new surroundings. I've moved out of the stable for the winter. It's just getting too cold over there and it's not worth it. So I'm over in the house now in the plush warm. So it's like luxury. What am I doing today? It's this. What can you do with these mid-century modern? This is obviously, now it's got good storage up in here, so that's not a problem. There's no issue with that. Can I change its actual boxiness? No. Can I improve upon the frontage and make it look less boxy, maybe with some paint? Probably, hopefully, fingers crossed. What's it got going for it? Nothing. I went to move it before and the handle came right off.
They're coming off anyway.
The handles are coming off. This is a faux drawer. In here, it's got the glass cabinet part and it's got what used to have been, would this be CDs, Mary? I don't know.
Maybe.
But we're going to knock these plastic parts out, get rid of those. I'm going to paint the inside. Yeah, paint the inside, and that's what's going to happen to the internals. So we're going to go away. I'm just going to get quickly to Martin to take these handles off for me now, knock those parts off. I'll give it the once over. It's been cleaned, but I'll give it another wee clean. And look, the joys of working in the house. I've got my cat. He's a lovely cat, but he's wondering why there's no door. He's saying, "Where's the door?" That's what we're going to go and do before Maurice wrecks the place, and we'll be back again in a minute. Okay, so the handles have been taken off. I do have to put wood filler in here. I'm not quite sure what handles are going to go back on. That one will be okay, but those two down the bottom, I'm not sure whether I'm going to just go with one but whatever. I'm getting rid of them. What to say about it? Martin removed the plastic parts from in here. And I'm just going to it's on nails actually. This is actually, for it being mid-century modern, it's actually quite a nice piece of furniture. It's quite heavy built. It's good. It's just ugly. So because I've taken the door off, I want to set the door down here on the ground in front of me, like so. Did you notice how I brought my mat over from the stable as well? Everything came with me, even the dirty carpet. It's all here. It's just been moved over. Now, okay, what we've got here. Molds. There is one of them, this one here is broken because my dog decided to prance all over there. Martin's got the cold. He's joking. Martin, you choke and then I'll tell them. All right.
Yes.
Oh, he's had a really bad cold.
It's not man flu.
Do you know what? It actually probably is flu, but Martin will refuse to call it man flu. So what mold did I use? It's this mold here, which classical elements. I sometimes forget. I use classical elements all the time, mostly for this little part here. I use it, but this one here, which I've cast, this one is a nightmare. It is a nightmare. What can I say about it? It's hard. I always seem to break it. As I said, this one here already got broken because my little dog Eddie got excited seeing Martin and pranced. He walked over the molds initially, then he decided to dance over the top of them, and I was like, ah! So they've taken a bit of a bashing. So what is my plan? What I was going to say was, if you are new to molds, I'll get Martin above me somewhere to link the molds 101 video. It has every single thing you could possibly ever ask about molds, clay, glue, how to apply them, etc. But I'm not even going to go into that in too much detail today, because we all know my videos can take a movie length. So where I'm gonna, it's you'd think I'd have more like space, but I actually don't. I'm trying to just get myself in position. There we go. Sorry, Martin. Move this over a bit. It's on wheels. Now, gluing. I hit upon the thing recently. Now, if you have glue, your all-purpose glue has a big, thick, like thin nozzle to apply on the back, then there's no problem there. But I was always getting in such a mess applying molds, and this is a new iteration to my molding. I use a piping bag, and I don't cut the end off it in the beginning. Just kind of open it up a bit and squeeze a great big dollop of glue onto it. Squeeze it into the bag like that, and then just, do you know what, I'm going to stop filming for a minute. It's just my son's actually in America and I can hear him calling in the kitchen. I'll be back in a minute. Okay, so I've pushed the piece to the side, the handles were taken off it, and we'll get back to that in a minute once we've got the molds on the doors. I want to put molds on the doors. I've taken the door off only because it'll be easier, and it'll also be easier to paint inside. So what we're going to do, I got, what is this called? Something Elements.
Classical Elements, is it?
Yes, you're right, Martin. It is called Classical Elements. Oh my goodness. I don't have words for that. I've got the Classical Elements mold, and I have cast this one here multiple times. This one's quite an awkward one because it's a long one, and I've cast quite a few. Just this aperture here, I know my mold is clean, but I've just used it. Obviously, Martin hasn't had time to clean it, so yeah. The one got broken because Eddie saw Martin, got really excited and decided to not just walk over them, but dance on top of them at one point because he was getting quite excited. So one has bitten the bullet, but we can glue that on as we go along. So I will fill those in a minute. So molding onto glass. By the way, this is, I don't want you thinking this is my actual carpet. It's a carpet I've put down because I wrecked the carpet last year, as you well know. So this is me. I'm going to rest it on my feet. Like, I think this is probably the best way to film this. So molding onto glass. If you are at all stuck in any way, Martin above will put a link to the Molds 101 video. It's packed full of what glue to use, how to cast them, how to do molds, how to apply them, how to paint them. It has got everything in it, and it's a really good reference tool if you've never cast any molds before.
You're good.
Sorry, Martin's just checking my microphone. Sorry. I'm actually in real life really quietly spoken. I need a microphone because if not, I'm like... that's probably the best video to watch if you've never done molds before. But to be honest with you, it's pretty easy. So I've cast all these molds. I've hit on a new thing since that video. Whereas if you use a glue like mine, it has to be all-purpose, remember. There's no point using wood glue because we're using molds and glass. No wood involved. So all-purpose glue. But if you have an all-purpose glue like me that has big nozzle on the end and it isn't very tidy when you want to glue your molds, piping bags. It's my new thing. Fill a piping bag, don't cut the nozzle off. You just want a tiny, I better put my glasses on for this part, if not. You just want a tiny little hole, just something like that, and then just fill it up, and then you're kind of good to go, just like icing a cake. Now, I want to have these going up and round and down, all in a square. Now, I did these before dinner, so I'm going to start central because what I can do is I can make the rest work, but I want these parts to be pretty much where they're at. So let's just flip this over. This is, as I said, this is a kind of awkward one, this one. So remember what I said in the molds one video, you need to make sure you've got glue over all sides, and I've got a brush in a minute. It's just, I've hit upon this idea because it stops my hands becoming so messy and so crusty that I can't actually do anything with them. So, and just make sure that your glue is adhered, it's stuck to every possible surface on this mold, and you need to make sure that you do this with all of them because you are going onto glass, and you can mold onto glass. I've done it plenty of times before, but you just need to make sure you've got plenty of glue. That is the answer, and I am just gonna flip that back round. I think we're pretty good there. Now I'll come and I'll do the cleanup in the end once I've got them all on. I'm only going to do to here. In fact, I'm only going to do to around here so you can see how I navigate the edges and the corners, because I'm wondering whether I'll get one more. I might kind of manipulate it a little bit so that I can get another one in there like that. I'm going to move that bit down a bit. Yeah, so let's flip this one over. And pretty much all I'm going to do is do this all the way around the edges. I want to try and create a fancy sort of border, but using molds to do it. Today's theme, I'll give you a little bit of a heads up, is, well, you've seen it at the beginning, but it's going to be kind of oriental. So again, in with my brush, making sure I get right to the edges, all of the edges. This just prevents any chipping off of your molds, and I've seen people put glue in the centres, I've seen people put glue right around the edges. It all has to have glue on it. Flip this around, and I've managed to get my hands all gluey already, so what was the point of the piping bag? Like that. So you get, just trying to not make this side here so crushed. I might have to fiddle about this off camera, but that's how I'm going to do it. It's going to go round the piece like that. I'm going to get on, I'm going to glue these on here. I'm going to try and not make this a feature length movie today. And then we'll get to the inside, because I'm only going to do the molds on the outside glass and paint the inside, and then let my molds glue, dry overnight. I think it's probably best practice to let them harden up, which is awesome because I'm now in the house, which means that it won't take 3 years like it does in the stable. Okay, so I've applied the molds to the glass. The good thing about the cleanup when it comes to glass is if you just wait till it's dry, you can scrape the glue off and you can get right up to the edges. So I'm not too worried about too much of the cleanup right now. I decided to put that across there just because I had it left over, and I had one left over which I put up the top here, and I think I'm going to put a little handle in here so that they can lift it up, because I was thinking that's quite good for, like, you know what I'd keep in there, things like paper and pens and that kind of thing. So I suppose at the end of the day, the usage, I mean, probably I would say it's probably drinks cabinet size, so maybe a drinks cabinet, maybe a bougie tassel. Oh, I hadn't even thought of the handles yet. Anyway, I'll set that to the side. All right, now I'll just pop it down there. I'm going to be removing these because I'll paint these separately. Maybe I'm not going to, this one doesn't remove. Okay, so what am I going to do with inside? Inside's going to be pretty bog standard. I am using Amsterdam green and floral. Oh, I've got paint all over the messy rug already. It's a good job it's messy rug. Oh dear.
You push that shelf up at the back, it'll probably lift out.
Sorry?
You push that shelf up at the back.
Push it up?
Out the back.
Push it out the back? Oh Martin, you're correct. Sorry. Right, okay. What am I going to do inside? I am going to just do something pretty kind of like, not so much a blend. I'm kind of wanting a sort of light, not a light green, a sort of brighter green, an emerald green. So I'm just taking the clips out for the shelves because I don't want to paint over the top of them. Or maybe I should actually. Well, they're out now. I can change the colour. There, right. Sit those down. The thing is with working in the house, I have to make sure that Eddie doesn't come along and eat anything that's sat on the floor, because he doesn't discriminate of what he tries to eat. So how am I going to, there's another one, I missed that one. How am I going to do this? Pretty much, I'm just going to have a bit of fun. I'm going to just do a squeeze of that and a squeeze of this. I'm going to get the blob off the carpet as well. So, and I'm just going to twirl them together into something that's pleasing to me. Yeah, this is the sort of thing I was thinking, but I was thinking by putting the dark in, I'll get a bit of a shadow. So I'm just going to paint the whole inside like this, really. It's not a blend, it's just, I'm just mingling them together and to see what happens. I'm painting over all evidence of anything plastic. That's a telltale sign. Not that it's sort of bulkiness will not be a telltale sign at the end, but as I said, we'll kind of try with a paint job to kind of make it look less boxy. So that's all I'm going to do. I'm just going to paint the inside this green, and we'll let this dry. I'll probably do 2 coats tonight. We'll let it dry, and tomorrow we'll get to painting the carcass. See a bit there, it's coming off. Painting the outside of the, what's wrong with my words are not working. Painting the externals and getting onto the door and everything. Okay, so this is what we've ended up with from yesterday. These are dry now. They've been in the house all night. What did I do? Inside, I did the inside of the lid, the green. And inside here is green as well. Yeah, so that has been done. Now, the glass hasn't been cleaned yet because there is no point at this stage doing anything with this because it's going to be painted. What colours am I going to be using? I'm going to be using burgundy, Capri Pink, and a little bit of Antoinette. That's the sort of colours. I haven't got massive brushes right now. We'll be moving on to bigger blending brushes when we get to the top and the sides. But right now we want to try and work this out, which is round sort of the moulds and stuff. So I think I would quite like the darker colours coming in from the edges. I always think the darker colour. Now I'm going to have to be quite careful up here because obviously the top, do you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to flip the top up because then I'm not going to have to worry about this top edge. It could flat back down at any point in time. So start with the burgundy on the outer edges, and as you can see, I'm using a tiny little brush for blending because it's just a tiny little surface. So let's just kind of work on this corner first. So I'll put my burgundy in here. Now I want to start introducing the Capri Pink round about this band here. Now, am I blending? Of course I'm blending. I'm blending, meshing 2 colours together, but it's not a blendy blend. It's just a how you like it blend. Now, this is just our first coat, remember, because we haven't base coated it with anything. So I'm doing that one where you kind of put it on and then do it all again a second time over. I'm just going to have some lighter, I think, round about here. Now, this is where it gets a bit interesting because I'm going to have to bring my paint in. Now you're not doing in here, you're pretending that your moulds all the way to this edge here. I'll kind of concentrate in here, is the part you're painting. Anything on the glass I'm not entirely sure yet. I've had this plan in my works for ages, but how it's going to be pulled off at this stage, I'm not entirely sure. Now, as I say, this is going to look really messy the first pass round. It just is. So at this stage, I'm just adding the various different colours and kind of pushing them into my moulds and seeing what colours hit. around there. Try and smooth where the glass is out. And it's kind of difficult when you're working with a lot of moulds on glass. Moulding on glass, no problem. Shouldn't have any issues with it at all. Use the appropriate glue, not a problem. I quite always like using DAS. I looked at it today. I don't get any shrinkage. I've got a couple of, where did I see there was a crack? But it's marginal. I mean, it's not the tidiest because it hasn't been cleaned up yet, but this is why I use DAS. It just doesn't shrink. Not the same way as other clays do. It just doesn't. So I don't mind going a little bit onto the paint. I can deal with that in the cleanup. I'm still not decided whether I've done, you know, whether I'm painting this, whether I'm decoupaging it from behind. I'm not, we're just going to see where this takes us. So you can see I'm kind of doing a little bit mix of everything where I've kind of like buttoned the dark up against the light. So it's not a sort of running into, you know, light, dark kind of blend. It's just, this is what we're doing. And because it's the first coat as well, you have to make sure all your moulds are painted. And that's another reason for the smaller brush right now. It's one of those ones that is gonna look way messy before you kind of get better, because it won't really start taking shape until the second coat. Now, what I was going to say at this stage is, remember when I've said about painting moulds before, look this way, that way, this way, and this way, and then that way you'll definitely know that all your mould parts have been painted and you're not going to be left with white. Now, I think I'm correct in my thinking that I am going to put some gold over this, but not gold leaf. I don't want to cover all up the sort of pinky shades. I'm just going to put some gold on, just rub it on with my fingers. So there's, what can I say about this? We'll go back onto this edge here. So we're putting our dark on again, and then our Capri Pink. And we're just going to do this. So I am going to do this on the front, yeah? On the sides, however, and I'm wondering whether I'm going to have to stop the camera to twirl it around, or whether I can just maybe twirl it while we're sitting here. Martin, hold on to your britches there. Oh, tidy painting there. I knew I'd kind of done that, but it was a little bit like, oh, just drop my, as per usual, just making a right mess here. So I'm going to need a whole load more for this side. So let's just kind of make sure I've got enough. Starting with a dry brush, because this is my base coat really. So how am I wanting now? Again, I'm not wanting it to touch up against this green. I want because my green top edge is slick. So slick as in tidy, not slick as in shiny. Better make sure I'm running my brush this way across it, because that will prevent it going up and over the sides. Let's just kind of work with that for, because I really don't want to mess up the top. I could use masking tape. I could do lots of things, but obviously I'm not. Not too heavy on this edge again, because you don't want what's happened on this. This is run into this side, but I could quite easily have the same problem when I do this side, and I don't want the red running into the green. So just easy goes it. Trying to get this edge while I'm at it. I'll just do that with burgundy. I can come back with something a bit more blendy once I've got the base coat on. So I'm just gonna jam a paint stick. Paint stirring sticks are awesome. You can use them for just about everything. It's like transfer sticks. Where would we be without them? I use them for everything. Right, so let's just proceed with caution now. We're fine. I just want a little bit more paint, because we're going to have a little bit to take it in. So this is just like a sort of dark mix into lighter. So now I'm going in with the Capri Pink now. So at this stage, at the base coat stage, you're just really applying paint, because you're going to perfect it as you go with your second coat. Now, you can see I'm only using one brush. I'm not using a million different brushes for this. And the only reason I thought I touched up there on the green. The only reason I'm kind of doing it this way is because instead of one flat coat of colour, 2 coats, is because, as I said, these sort of square cupboards have the kind of propensity to look very boxy, and we're trying to get rid of this sort of boxiness. This is me going in with the Antoinette now, and then I'm just going to do a little bit more dab of the Antoinette, and at this time I am going to use a fresh brush because I want that not sort of, I can come back in and put that back in again. Now, taking this to here, working that up into here, taking it to here, working it across. Now I'm just going to work my sides all the way out to the burgundy, and the same here, right down to the bottom, just to kind of give it something. I might, on the second pass, I might pull a bit more burgundy on it. I don't want it too pink, but yet again, I don't want it looking flat. So I think we can safely say I'm pretty happy with that as a first pass. Not perfect, but it'll do. That's me, because you can see my dark, my pink, my lighter pink. So I'm going to get on. Now I'm going to do this on the top and the other side and finish the front, let it dry, and then we'll come back in and I'll probably just do all of it again as my second coat and come back in with the side so that I can still turn it and work on the front. Okay? Okay, so it's had the 2 coats of the sort of different coloured sort of colours. Well, are we calling it a blend in some areas? But as you can see, it's darker, lighter, it's lighter on this end, sort of. So I've just kind of like alternated and made up what I thought was nice. I kind of lightened up this mould down here, and obviously the tops and the sides are as I showed you. Now, what have I been doing for the last hour? To get, once you're never going to be able to paint your moulds without getting paint on your glass. So to get round that, you really need to, you're never going to get it 100% perfect, but you just pick away at all the little parts and just scrape off the paint. Then I was using a cotton bud and I was just cleaning it away with a cotton bud and going round it all. And it's squeaky clean now because I've just cleaned it. What did I clean it with? I cleaned it with Meths, which is a sort of alcohol, paper towel. I also put some Meths on the end of this and went round in all the edges, and even still I can still see an occasional part. You just have to keep looking at it over and over and over again. But I think for the sake of where I'm at, I think I'm quite happy. So what next? I had planned to put decoupage paper in the inside of here, so reverse, and then put something over, well, I know what I'm putting over the top, but I decided that I quite like the fact that you can see into it. I think it gives it just gives it a really nice feel. It makes it look less boxy from the front anyway. When you turn it to the side, it's still pretty boxy, but you know, you're working with what I had to work with, so you're kind of going, well, I quite like the kind of fact that you could look through it. I can see a little bit there. Now, what am I going to do first on my glass before I, well, Matt chokes.
Oh, I choked, sorry.
That is terrible, Matt.
Excuse me.
I'm going to do what I can with this on the back because I want to stamp with this stamp. And then what I'm going to do is it this one or is it this one? I couldn't quite make up my mind which one I wanted. I keep going back and going, do you know what, actually, I think, quick change my mind. I think I'm going to go with this one. How I'm going to, not too much, I'm not too worried about getting in there, and I'll tell you why, because these are going to be rubbed over with gold and this is going to be stamped with gold. So if I touch up amongst the stamps and I have to take it off the back and then get into there a little bit more, I'm okay with that. But we'll put as much as we can on before we have to take it off the mount. So I'm using my favourite gold, and I keep saying I'm going to do a gold sort of comparison. So I'm just going to give it a good shake. And I've got a mat down here. And I'm just going to put a little bit on my mat like that. That's enough of that. Now, you should always stamp on a hard surface, but I'm kind of limited to find a hard surface right now. I'll go maybe over this side. So I've showed you how to roll before when it's paint. Roll it and get your roller covered and push your excess to the side, just so that you've not got too much on your roller. I'm just going to roll it over here where I've got hard surface to roll it onto. And I'm making sure I've covered all of my stamp. You can use any stamp if you're going to do this over glass. I am going to actually seal right across this at the end. I'm going to start. Do you know what I'm going to go down because the clear mount is stopping it going any further. Let's start about here. Now this is where you could get anything with me. Oh, well, you're definitely getting anything with me now because it's completely moved. I'm not too bothered. There's going to be something that is going over the top. I always say that, don't I? I'm not too bothered about that. So I'm just going to roll over my stamp again. And you probably, for the second time round, probably have enough on your roller. You don't need to keep on putting more and more paint on it, especially when you're going onto glass. Now, I am just going to completely cover the front in this stamp, or as much as I can. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen in there. Maybe it's better just to keep a square. I don't know. Be careful on glass. It really shifts because of the slippy surface, so it's a bit more tricky. A bit more paint on this. This time I'll make sure I stamp the whole thing because I missed a bit side there. But you can see where I'm going with this. Just wondering how I'm going to match my next lot up. I think I'm going to do something like that and just have a little gap in between them. I've got a little bit of the mould here that doesn't want to let me stamp it. I think when this is dry, I can go back over this because I'm going to take it off the mount soon and it's just making a bit of a mess. So I'm going to get on. I'm going to do this. I'm going to let it dry, but I'll talk you through. There was a little fly on it earlier. It keeps coming back. Sorry, I'm going quiet. You can always tell when I'm concentrating to silence. And this paint is okay for glass, even if you weren't going to seal it. But I am going to seal the whole thing because I'm going to talk you through what I'm about to do next, which I have never done in my life before. You know, it's always good to do your first on camera, I always find. That doesn't please me. Hang on a minute. I'll come back and I'll kind of zhuzh that up a bit. Now, here we go. I bought this. I saw it on Amazon. It's for clothing. It's an applique, but I think with the right amount of Mod Podge, the way I apply it, I'm going to glue this surface down first, then that surface, and then that surface, and it is going to go right across here like that. Now, it's hard to show you. I'm going to have to use a little bit of tape as well to kind of tape it as I go, but it's going to be something like this. Have I used this before? No, I haven't. Do I think it'll work? Undoubtedly I do, because I'm going on to glass. I'm going to be using Mod Podge, and then I'm going to be sealing over the top of it. So it's sealed in at the back with the glue, sealed in over the top with the glue, and sealed over the top with the sealer. So that should hopefully be the way it is applied. It's a little bit left field, but it is totally mixed media. I just loved the colours. I liked everything about it. If I was a woman that could sew, I might stitch this onto my shoes, but I can't, so we're going to put it onto here instead because I can't do furniture. Right, I'm going to get on and I'm going to fix all of this. I'll tell you how I'm going to fix it. I am going to wait till this dries, re-roll the top edges so that these look slicker. Not that I think it's going to matter, but it matters to me. I'm probably going to I'm going to take it off the mount for the next section along so that I can just, so it doesn't matter if the gold, sorry, I'm actually getting Martin's cold. I had no voice this morning, so I'm going to like take it off the mould and then push it down as much as I can down to here. And then just, I think, leave it at that. I don't know whether I'm going to try and get into here or not. I'm conscious of I don't want it to look too messy. And I do want it to look kind of like panels. I mean, I'm saying an oriental look, but to be honest with you, yes, this is going to end up looking slightly chamoisery, hence the oriental. But now that I can see through the glass, I don't know. I think there's something very Victorian looking about this. And whatever is happening here, I'm loving it. So I'm just going to fall down and do the glass just now, get it dried off, and then we can work out how we're going to apply this bad boy. Okay, so I did the stamping on the back. Believe it or not, I did the stamping twice because the first time it ended up looking like this and the second time it looked like this as well. So I'm running with it, okay? That's all I can say. What am I doing now? I've got a little bit of gold.
Excuse me.
Martin's got his cough. I've got a little bit of gold in the lid of, and what I've gone and done is I have rubbed this round all of my molds to give them nice definition and kind of go with what we're gonna be doing. You can use like any sort of rub and buff or any sort of gild. You could even gold leaf them if you wanted to, but just run over the tops of them as opposed to, you know, you don't want to cover them all up with the gold. You want a little bit of both. Then the next thing I did was I just ran along and touched up to give it sort of, when you stand back, it gives it definition. I did it on the edges, the tops, the sides, so that you know that's what's happened there. It's just, that's what I've done. So we're all caught up. You saw me gold in this. We've done our stamping, and so now what I'm going to do, I'm just going to take a minute to lie this on its back for the next part. Okay? Okay, so I just took a couple of minutes to get my positioning correct of where I thought it wanted to be. I am going to have to lose a few parts. For example, I don't want this part here, so I'm just going to cut that off. And I think that, and maybe that part there, I think can go. And this leaf here, I don't think is gonna, I'm gonna cut this leaf off up here and I might be able to reapply it somewhere else. Hopefully. We'll sit it up here just now. Because it has to kind of lie flat for when you go to, well, I mean, I'm saying like this is knowledgeable. I've never, as I said, I've never done this before. Right, how I'm going to do it. I'm going to do the bottom with the Mod Podge and the top with fabric Mod Podge. And as I said, the whole thing's going to be sealed over the top. So, what have I got here? I've got a couple of, I imagine, because we're going to be working on fabric, that we're going to need something, you know, with a little bit of, something kind of like this, that when we go to put the top layer on, you can push in the fibres. I'm going to start with just getting the sort of basic positioning. I think that might work. Now I am obviously living life dangerously because I'm going to try and apply the majority to the back quite thickly because I do not want this to come off. That would be terrible. So I want it, when it's on, it's on. So let's try that. But let's also do this. Slap it back. Now, the next part is this little thin part here. I'm not going to do the backs of those. But I do want to make sure that it's stuck down now. I'm going to come back over with my fabric Mod Podge. So now this is where it's going to get awkward because I'm going to have to lift the whole thing up.
I can kind of hold it
You're
there.
trying to hold it for me, Martin. I couldn't think of any other way to do this than the way I'm doing it. As I said, I've never seen anybody do this, so didn't have anything to go on. I mean, I'll probably learn lessons as I go, which means that I'll be able to tell you what I think they may be.
I think it's a great idea.
Do you, Mary?
I do. I mean, this is the sort of stuff that you put, you know, on a pair of jeans or something. You know, it's fabric stuff, isn't it? You know?
Yeah, it's and I was just saying to Martin, for the impact that this is going to have, it's very economical because how much did this
£5.97.
It was what it cost me to buy this decal, which I think is worth every penny. I'm just going to put some more on the back of this. I'm going to flap this one down and see where we go. Because obviously I've got these layers to do next. I don't think I'm going to worry too much about the mess that it's creating. I'm just going to leave that alone right now. Now, this leaf here. So I'm probably not going to labour too much on me doing this part because, oh, Martin, sorry, I'm dribbling Mod Podge on your hand. Because the next part I'm going to have to come back in and kind of almost re-glue it again. So this is just the positioning phase of where I'm going with this. I want to make sure I've got plenty on that. I'm just going to do the same at this point with these ones. I'm not going to touch too much the big flowers because they're going to need a whole lot of... I just want to make sure that all edges are really glued down. I'm not wanting too many lumpy bits left on the glass though, so I'm kind of trying to wipe them. That's why I was saying to you, I'm going to shiny seal this glass at the end because I think it's the only way, that I can kind of guarantee that everything's kind of all stuck down. It isn't going anywhere, it's not moving. Right. I just want to make sure with this bit again, I'm putting more and more on it as we go, but I think that that's probably the way to go, if I'm honest. I think this one here is pretty good. I think you're just going to have to keep working it until it's all massaged into the fabric and it's really absorbed it so that it starts kind of sealing it down on the other side. Yeah, something like that. Just making sure there's not too much left on here. So I will go and I'll go and do the first pass and get it stuck down just the way I'm doing now. And then we'll come back and we'll work with all of these parts here and these parts here because there's 3 layers that have to be glued. Yeah? Okay. Okay, so that is the first lot of the Mod Podge. I didn't need to come back to show you me gluing this down because when I squeezed down on top of it, the glue was so saturated that it came up over the top and it just flattened down. So this is it with just ordinary Mod Podge, and now I'm going to go over the top of all of these with fabric Mod Podge, only because, and the glue underneath isn't quite dry yet either, so I'm just really conscious that this cannot come off.
I don't think it will.
I don't think it will, but
I think it's going to be welded on there.
I view all my furniture as being poppy proof. My granddaughter Poppy, she tries to pick transfers off of furniture. There's many things that she tries to do, and I think if things can withstand Poppy, then we're not doing too badly. She kicks furniture, she jumps on top of it, and my furniture lasts. So I think, you know, I'm thinking that this might be Poppy proof just by the time we're done. Because once this coat, again, I'm trying not to have too much of it sitting on the glass. I do not want that because at the end I'm going to seal this, and I don't want a big build up with the Mod Podge, because you know how sometimes if it pulls, it can leave it white. So I'm just kind of going slowly over the top of it all. I don't know if anybody's ever used fabric Mod Podge, but it's got a whole different smell than I quite like the smell of Mod Podge, but the fabric one's kind of like smells a little bit like ammonia. It's not very pleasant. Anyway, it'll do the job for this, and it'll protect it. I'll make it waterproof. It means that it can be wiped. All the things that you want your furniture to be able to do, and that's really important. Furniture's no good if it's just beautiful. It has to be practical in houses these days where, things happen. There's children, there's animals, there's dogs. And that's why you got to kind of build your furniture at last. So yeah, it looks like I'm probably going overboard here, but I don't think it can. But it stuck down lovely. I think this would be a really cool thing to do on wood, on a piece of wooden furniture. And I always say I'll revisit things, but we'll see if I can revisit this at some point with something else. Because as I said, I think this decal is really economical for the price. So, versus, other things, it's pretty good. So I'm just making sure that I do this. But really, you're not missing anything now. I'm going to go off camera and I'm going to do that. And then what I'm going to do after that, and I'm just going to let it completely dry before I seal it. And then we'll be talking, we've moved on quite a pace now. Then we'll be talking hardware and sealing and staging. But it'll go over to the stable to be staged, so it'll have to be thoroughly dry overnight. Top tip, if you work in, like, how can I describe this? So,
colder climates,
or just if you paint a piece of furniture in this sort of temperature and seal it, but quickly to go over to the shed, it won't work because it doesn't set the way paint and everything should work. It has to be sealed and dried in the same temperature. Temperature is really important, and obviously in Scotland, it's not the coldest place, but it isn't. It's not so much cold right now in the shed. Well, it is cold, but damp. When you try and seal, have you ever had furniture and you sealed it and it's gone milky, or your wax has gone milky? That's a layer of moisture between your furniture and your sealer, and that's what that is. It's moisture trapped in, and the only way you can do that, get rid of that, is to sand it all down. So you really want to try and prevent that as much as possible. So this is what I'm going to do, and then I'm just going to let this thoroughly dry. Okay, so I'm just going to run through what happened. I left it overnight and it has worked. It's slightly milky. Something possibly to revisit another time. The Mod Podge make it slightly milky because you have to saturate it so much. So, maybe if I was doing it again, I would apply it with Mod Podge, not saturate it as much, and then use maybe a heavier varnish over the top, a clear varnish. A heavy varnish as opposed to a light sort of top coat sealer. I think that might work better. I've got another one, but though Martin says he's going to sew it onto my jeans because I haven't got the time for that. Anyway, what's happened? So I'm really happy with the applique part, but when I came in this morning, I was not happy with the gold stamping behind it. It looked messy. So what have I done? You haven't missed anything because I'm going to show you in a minute what I've done. I took my gold, and because where the pieces of Mod Podge went, it had created quite a bit of texture. So when I applied the gold, it looked textury and not neat and clean close up. So I thought, well, what can I do? I'm going to have to run with the texture. So I stippled on the gold with just a sort of artist brush. And then what I'm in the process of doing is I'm trialing a new product. It's called Liquid Metals. This is the green one. I got it all in quite, obviously, being the type of woman I am, quite bright shades. I got like a cerise, this sort of cerise colour. And you'll maybe see me using them maybe in the Christmas decorations and things, because I think that these are quite nice now. So I'm just kind of trialing them, and I've trialed a couple of times so far, and I'm really quite impressed with them. They're quite, you maybe need 2 coats of them, but what I then went to kind of add the texture onto it, because I can't do anything about that at this stage, but I have to make it work, and then what I did was I just used the same stipply brush and didn't completely cover it and just went round the gold, giving an extra part of dimension and kind of making obviously a feature of the texture. So I was quite happy with this result. I think if you can see down here, I mean, you can apply it a little bit darker the more coats you put on. So say you wanted some parts a little bit darker, you can do things like that. But that was all I was doing, just doing that. I'm not trying to eradicate the gold. I want to have the gold in it. So depending on how I use my brush is what I was doing. So I'm going to do that up into here and around here. And that's that. But when I did this, I thought, I wonder what it looks like on the detail on the molds. So again, I like to work from lids. I don't know about other people. I like to get a scoop and put it in the lid and just work from a lid. And I like applying it with my finger. I think it. And then I thought, do you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to touch some of this on here as well and bring some of this green out onto the gold. And then I thought, oh, I really like this. So we're going to do something like that on here too. I think that kind of gives it another kind of like little bit of a... The front of this piece is very ornate. I'm keeping the sides quite plain. As I said, uses, how would I sell it? Probably as a sort of kind of drinks cabinet, just cabinet, explain that the top, opens up. That kind of thing. It's quite a nice wee size. It's not too big. As I said in the beginning, it was never ever going to look $1 million, this piece, just because of the piece it was. But I think you can probably agree it is way better than how it started. How it started was quite, I bought this piece for £6. So for what I've done to it, at the time I've spent on it, I'm going to more than get my money back. So I'm not...
It's worked really well.
Yeah, the applique has worked really well. I think...
I'm trying to show the sort of... The relief, shall we say.
Yeah.
It's really good.
It's the thing about it is that I'm
it's like wow.
I
Who would have thought?
it has worked, and it is on there. So it is solid. I mean, it feels like it's part of the piece. I just wouldn't want it to look so milky. I wish I hadn't done the gold behind it, but I love what I've done now. So as I said, creativity, it's a series of like problem solving and having fun. And I think this piece proves the point, sometimes just going away, I've told you this before, going away overnight and just re-looking at something gives you a whole different perspective. So I'm just going to run a little bit more of this over on top of this piece up here. I was going to put a little handle up on here, but I'm not, because I think then it'll be sticking out and it'll look a little bit weird. I can just, when I go to sell it, I can put it in the description what it was, and how this part opens up and things. So put the lids back on the liquid metals. Now, I rooted over in the shed for handles, couldn't find anything that was suitable until I came across this one here, this nice rose. So I think we're going to do something like,
I've already out. I'm going to have to drill that out.
It's going to be drilled, but that's the handle. So what I'm going to do is I am going to get my French Chic Tough Coat Sealer, apply it with a sponge and use a brush in all my detail, put the shells back in, get Martin to apply the handle, and we'll get it over to the stable and we will finish off the video over there. Okay, so I'm back over in the stable for staging. Was it difficult to do this piece? No. Was it ugly? Yes, incredibly so. How did we manage to make it look so bougie and cute? We added the molds to glass, not difficult. Just remember an all-purpose glue. That's really important. Paint in the glass, just remember 2 coats of sealer in the parts where you paint it. That's okay. The appliques, absolutely outstanding. Love it.
Mind blown.
Going to do this on
I think
wood.
They're amazing.
Going to do it on wood. Only thing, and this is a bit of problem solving, this is what happens when you trial things on a video, you have to kind of I like to impart what I know onto you. When you're applying them, apply them with Mod Podge and saturate the fabric. Let it dry solidly, and then 2 coats of a heavy sealer on top. no need to go overboard with the fabric Mod Podge. I think that's the reason why they turned out slightly milky. This one in particular, do I think it's at the detriment of what I've done? No, I don't. It's fine. I like it. The person that buys it won't know any difference, to be honest with you. Just I know. You know what Mod Podge is like. It kind of pulls in areas, and if you don't catch it, it can become quite opaque and white. So something to be mindful for. Brushed over with the gold, brushed over with the liquid metal paint, which I'm trialing at the moment. Quite like it. Didn't really labour too much on the blend. It wasn't even a blend. It was just loads of colours mashed together. And I didn't even labour too long on just me running my fingers down with the gold. Painted the inside the dark green, and obviously you have to think about things like this when you put molds on furniture. You have to cover, if not it's just white squidgy ugly in the inside, and you want your furniture to be nice on the inside and the outside. That's really all I have to say about today's piece. Turned into a cute sort of retro drinks cabinet, I think, and I like it. I want you to stay tuned now, because Martin and I have got the most exciting news. We are starting a channel membership group.
You've been asking for it for so long. We
People have
finally
asked
got
for
to
so
it.
long, but we are launching it on the 19th of this month, which is the 19th of November 2023, just in case you watch this next year and you're not sure. It is 2023, November this year. You can get the little video in a minute. We're going to release it again the following Wednesday. Then you'll have an ordinary video on the Sunday, and that will be the day of our channel membership. And you can see next what we've got to offer. It's an exciting time, and I hope you think that what we're offering is good value. There's a whole live tutorial each week. That's the big pull. One with me, a live tutorial where we paint along together, or you can watch it at your leisure from the channel membership group. There is a little bit of Roundabout Scotland, a short video each week, or more than short little videos of what we're working on, either furniture. At the moment I'm doing a lot of Christmas stuff behind the scenes. I've already filmed a whole 45 minutes of a video to put into the channel membership of free content that isn't going to be on our channel. And our channel members, don't worry if you're not wanting to be like you think, if you just watch your ordinary YouTube, you're not going to get anything less than you ever got before. Our YouTube channel will stay the same, still the same content, still the same throwing down what knowledge I know and showing you what I'm working on. That will not change. Channel membership is just more about us, more about our personal
More behind the scenes, more what we do, where we go.
You can ask Martin about business stuff like shipping, how you get started, what the pitfalls are of furniture, kind of like flipping, all these things. And also sometimes on occasions on videos you see me using just something that I threw together, a sort of custom decoupage piece paper for a piece of furniture. You can, if you're a channel member, you can buy those like cheap. So these are all the reasons why, but we're going to go away
as
now.
you're going to find out in a moment.
We're just going to see it all in a minute, and you can see how cold it is in Scotland as well. So I've been Lel from Made by Marley. Thank you so much for watching, liking, subscribing. Thanks for all the new subscribers. If you haven't subscribed yet, why not? And now we've even got a channel membership. So Martin, have you got anything to add today?
No, thank you so much for watching and following us on our journey. It's mind-blowing, and we genuinely do love every minute of it.
Okay, thanks, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Hi, I'm Lel.
And I'm Martin.
And we're
Made by Marley.
We have some really exciting news. We are starting a
channel membership,
and we'd like you to get involved. So have a wee look at this quick video, which will tell you all the things that we're going to offer.
Get to see behind the scenes and see what Lel's working on. So let's go and have a look.
Come on in. This is where I work. So if you join the channel membership, I work on projects all of the time. Personal projects, art projects, smalls for the website, and obviously furniture. the majority of the stuff that I do a lot of painting furniture by myself. We'll hop in halfway through. I'll show you a specific technique. I'll run through what I'm actually doing. It's just another way to learn in depth what I do during the week. But right now, I am preparing for a Christmas show. So these are just some of the baubles that I've made for the Christmas show. So the likes of these ones here are fabric with the Posca pen details, just pieces of scrap fabric. We've got things like these ones here, which are kind of Bohemian baubles. We have all these ones here, which are the sort of Feliz Navidad. These are my Mexican ones. I like these ones. More eclectic ones. I have Indian style baubles. I'll show you how to do the two baubles together. All these things were made from charity shop baubles. How to put molds onto and how to make them work, how to make them. I like things that are not too festive. And obviously I like my Bohemian, so it's all quite bright, but obviously I understand you need some kind of muted tones. And my most favourite, I've got these ones as well. These ones I haven't finished. I'm in the middle of working on these ones. I'm kind of going with a sort of, I was thinking sort of Tiffany inspired. I haven't quite got to these. They're going to be a little bit more sparkly, a little bit more glitzy. And my most favourite are these ones here. I kind of was inspired by Tiffany, Liberty. Are you telling me, Martin? Liberty patterned baubles. So I made these little bells. These are my most favourite. And to be honest with you, these ones I do as a sort of side project. They're a little bit more labour intensive than all the rest, but I like these ones. And these ones are made from a toilet roll, which I had a toilet roll tube a minute ago, but you understand, these ones are all made from a toilet roll tube. They're just decoupaged with beads. So if you like this kind of thing and you want to see more of what I'm doing, then it's certainly a reason to join our crew. And junk. I have junk.
Leo's junk pile.
I don't want him to show you that side. More junk. My beautiful things. Anyway, the reason why I'm standing over here in the stable behind unpainted piece of furniture is because the most important and I think the most valuable thing about our channel membership, and the reason why I would really like you to kind of get involved, is I am going to be doing every Thursday at 8 o'clock, which is British time, 8 till 9 every Thursday, a full live painting tutorial where we take one piece of furniture. It doesn't matter, you can have different pieces to me. You can use different colours. I want you to just paint along with me or save the video and watch it for another day and paint along with that video then. And we're going to be taking a blank piece of furniture and each week doing a little bit more and a little bit more until we complete it. It's going to be really slow. It's going to be many, like how would you're going to see me think along with you and how we could do it. You'll see how my brain works, and it's a live. You can comment, you can tell me what your brain thinks. I can ask you questions. You can ask me questions. It's a way to, it's actually painting tutorial each week on a piece of furniture. I'm going to give you a little heads up. The first week, for however many weeks it takes, will be a table. We're starting on a tabletop because tables are easy. You're working down on them. The legs are a bit of a nightmare, but the design work we'll be working down on as opposed to working that way. We'll start getting our design work just quite right. We'll run through lots of different things. I'll try and tell you in advance because it's going to be slow paced. I can say, well, next week you're going to need something like this so that we can get through it. And that's just going to run for forever until we've painted all the furniture in my junk pile.
We don't claim to be world experts on this stuff, but we've been doing it for quite a while now, and we've learned a lot of very valuable lessons along the way. And so what I'm going to do is once a month, I'm going to do a video. And if you've got any questions at all about the business and about how we do things in terms of, because if you're trying to do this yourselves, how do we pack things? How do we ship things? How do we do any number of things?
We get emails of how to start furniture businesses.
Yeah, we do all the time. So drop me an email to sales@madebymarley.co.uk and I'll do a video once a month where I'll go through all those questions and try and give you all the answers to all the problems that you've got with starting your own business. We don't always ship our furniture. If it's in Scotland, we'll deliver it ourselves. And it's a beautiful country.
It's cold.
It's so cold sometimes.
And wet.
And wet, yeah. But if it's in Scotland and we're delivering it, we'll start taking you with us.
And we'll show you sights like this, although you can hardly see it for the fog and the rain. But it is like Outlander, it is like Highlander, it does look like this. And it's very cold. Scotland is a cold place, but the studio's cold too. It's all cold. Don't know what to say.
Lael's trying to film in the car at the moment, but she gets car sick.
It's making me feel really sick.
But this is where we live. This is where we live. It's the bottom half of Scotland, or the bottom of Scotland is the Scottish borders, and it all looks like this.
It's hard to tell right now. All they're seeing is a road. I'm
Well,
thinking
you know, pan around and things. You know.
pan around. Pan around. I'm going to be sick. I'm panning, Matt.
There you go. Look, see.
So our nearest town is a town called Jedburgh. It's a royal borough. It's the royal borough of Jedburgh. Why is it royal? Because Mary Queen of Scots used to live here. And if you see me behind me, this is Jedburgh Abbey. It's a ruin now, but and it costs a fortune to go and see where you drive past it all the time. But but yeah, that's the Abbey. And this is Mary Queen of Scots' house. And this is Jedburgh Jail. This is where they used to put all the English. Martin, that's you. Want to know more about us? I might even show you in here. And obviously you get to hear more about our day job and what I actually do. And there's always furniture being painted here. This is just my job. So I'm in the middle of doing something like this. This sort of kind of work is too, it's too long to film. In fact, this is actually going to be a course that I'm currently filming. But this work is very labour intensive. There's an awful lot going on, but maybe we could do things like jump half in, even if it was just a drawer front, just to get you kind of familiar with the techniques that go along with these sorts of looks. But people always say on my YouTube, on my social media, I hope there's a video on this. And so often, more often than not, there isn't a video on it because I can only do one piece a week and take the time to film it and do everything. So most of the time I'm just working and I'm just painting by myself. So I'm going to be just kind of sticking up a tripod. It's not going to be glamorous. It's not going to be Martin's.
Or I'm just going to barge in and start filming you.
But it's just going to be, you know, what it is at the time. You're going to see it half unfinished, or you're going to see me starting, or you can see me planning. Everybody says, how do you start? You know, when you do things like this, you suffer from blank canvas. But the thing is about furniture art is to just play. And the way you play is by yourself on boards, then you start moving to furniture, smalls, and you build your way up, and it's just about playing. It's just about playing and having fun. The more you play, the more you can do things like this. So hopefully that you've gleaned all the information that you're going to get from our channel, but I'll just give you a really quick recap. We're going to show you more of Scotland, the things we do when we're out and about.
Yeah.
We're going to ask the lovely Martin any business questions relating to flipping furniture. You might not know, but you know, you probably will.
I do.
We are going to be doing a live video each week, every Thursday, where we paint furniture together, where you can ask me any questions you want regarding the piece or furniture or things that you're doing with your own furniture. You're going to get a little sneak peek of our working week, of what I'm working on. Maybe I'll jump half into a project. I'll show you furniture that I'm working on. And you just generally get a really good sort of overview of Martin and I's life, because there is life outside the stable, isn't there?
There is life outside the stable, and there's a lot of things that Lael does during the week that aren't part of our weekly, you know, every Sunday videos. So we're going to start sharing a lot more of that with you. And, you know, as we said, taking you on a journey with us around Scotland. We don't always ship everything. If it's in Scotland, we'll deliver it. So, you know, come along with us.
Yeah. Now, if you're on the Swither and you're not quite sure whether you want to join our channel membership, another exciting, this is another little pool. when I sometimes do furniture, it's not my own, it's not always decoupage paper that's ready available either with us or our retailers. I sometimes just design something on the hoof, on the cuff for a piece. Like recently I did this mermaid. These are custom, only available from us, and we're going to offer the custom that it doesn't happen all of the time, but it happens some of the time that I've done a custom, and generally when I do that, people come and ask me for it. So I'm going to offer it to our channel members if I do a custom paper for a reduced price.
Yeah.
Exclusively
available to you.
Yeah, just to you. Yeah, so there'll be a code on our website. We'll give you a code and you can go on. It won't have an image, but we can tell you what it is, because we don't want, just anybody coming along and buying it.
Well, they can if they want.
They don't know what they're buying.
They know what they're buying.
But you guys will. You'll be in the know. Okay, so that's really it for today. I hope you've enjoyed this little short video, and please consider joining us on our channel membership. It's going to be worth it,
and it's really going to help us as well. We're really hoping that this next year is going to be a year of growth for everybody, and we're going to continue to invest in the channel, and we're going to continue to invest in what we do to provide you with the best content we possibly can. And and hopefully that's what we're going to be doing. We've got grand plans. We have. Yes, I have.
Maybe you should have told me. Okay, right. So that's it for today. I've been Lel from Made by Marley.
And I've been Martin from Made by Marley.
If you've liked this video, don't forget
Marley. Marley.
Do you know what you said at the beginning of this? Oh no, Lel, you do.
You're rambling.
You do all the talking. You're actually beside me when I ramble today. So if you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to like it, share it, subscribe, leave us a comment, and the lovely Martin and I together, we'll see you next week.
See you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.